Takes a moment always. Yeah, how's that for good timing? Taking a swig of my cappuccino as the recording starts. Right, evening, everyone. I don't know if you had a chance to take a glance at the assignment and in particular the case study. Yeah, it's an interesting. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting one. Again, very careful in terms of selecting all of these, and you can see some of the stuff that came out of it. This one is fascinating. I We're not there yet. I think some of the best batteries at the moment are about 600 k's, and those involved. Oh my gosh, I'm not sharing my screen. That's so silly. And I had such a nice picture to start with. I hold on a second. Yeah, here we go. I don't know if anyone has an electric vehicle. I believe some of the best European ones are now the vehicles that are available in Europe go maximum of 600 k's, but 3,000 miles. This is phenomenal. I think it changes the rules of the game completely. Because at the moment, traveling to Joburg from Durban, there's an electric stop at Harry Smith, and then there's one in Joburg again. So you've got to time it really well. Fortunately, they're getting the quick charging electrical um, points here, which is also pretty important. So have a look at some of the innovations. I tried to share quite a bit of information. Now, some of it I think was a bit unnecessary, but I think for me, yeah, I still believe we have to share some of that stuff. Okay. So in terms of, let's have a look at PostTech as an innovation organization. So the first thing we do is we've got to find Learning Unit 2. Normal process. Oh, and I can't talk too much and go off track too much because my Westville students complain that I don't stick to the point. So this is the message to my Westville students. I'm going to stay on point. And thanks for irritating me. Hold on a second. I just want to open the slides. Oh, it's going to take too long. So they're going to complain about how long it takes. And again, I'm talking to my Westville students. I don't even teach them the subject. Okay, moving on, just to irritate people is my life. So, components of an innovative organization. 100% right, Kish. Ruining it for everyone. So, components of an innovative organization. I think these are the non-negotiables that if you have an organization that is at the cutting edge of technology and pushing technology on a daily basis, you need certain elements in place. The first one is this idea of a shared vision. But more important than the shared vision is this leader that will walk the talk. You need leadership that will actually put in place the elements that would bring that vision to life. So we know what a vision is. It's the ambitious, it's the dream future an organization sees for itself. It's normally, in terms, in particular here, something that is both inspirational and aspirational, inspires people to aspire to be fantastic. So this intent of pushing yourself, of questioning things, of seeing a future that is vastly different to the one that you're in. The second part, and when it says top management commitment, it means everything from managers, first of all, role modeling the behavior, right through to making budgets available to address what we call blue sky projects. I think Tesla talks about moonshot projects. The second one is the idea of the appropriate structure. So we spoke about the idea of a chaotic structure. I don't know if it's mentioned in here, but it's that balance between giving people complete freedom and then, but having enough to connect us back of a structure to connect us back to the vision being important. We talk about a chaotic structure, and I don't see it mentioned here, but the textbook is dated. So it's spelled C-H-A-K, so well, the way it sounds, K or Dick, chaotic structure. If you still have your third year textbook, if you studied with us, let me just share the slide on the chaotic structure from the textbook and also share the reference if you want to use that. So we talk about the idea of this balance between giving people significant freedom, significant empowerment, allowing people to take risks, but still having some sort of way of tying people back to the vision. Now, you might have come across the term skunk works. It started in the auto industry, from what I understand, and I haven't got that 100% right. My apologies, but I first heard of it on Top Gear, and the Skunk Works was where the Mercedes Black was created, and it was this secret society within Mercedes that were given freedom and budgets to create the most insanely powerful and high performance vehicles you can imagine. And that's where Skunk Works came from. They don't form part of the formal structure, and they exist and people know that they exist, but no one really knows enough about them to be able to discuss it, because these people are the ones that will go insane in terms of trying new things, throwing new technologies at existing problems. And then the key individuals. I think one of the ways of making sure that people are excited about innovation are those individuals that will energize the kind of momentum within the organization. And to also just say it starts with hiring hotshot individuals. I think if we look at Google, the quality of the staff that work there, the difficulty it is to get in to work for Google. I mean, you hear people say that you work with individuals that are scarily bright, and this is what you want here. So these are the people who will sell the idea. These are those people that will champion and run with ideas. And also the gatekeepers. The gatekeepers are those that bring a little bit of logic let's not be ridiculous, because now we've moved from innovation to becoming gimmicky. And then teamwork. And remember, it is those self-managed teams that we've spoken about extensively. It's always going to be cross-functional. You want someone from marketing to tell us what customers are expecting. You want someone from science and research and development to say, listen, here, this is what the latest technology is saying and where it's heading. You need someone from operations to say, it's fantastic to have customer needs. It's fantastic to have new technologies, but what can we actually build? We also know that it also involves having on board with these teams sometimes on a sort of project basis, people from suppliers, because most organizations that essentially fit into this are assemblers. They're not actually manufacturers. So the manufacturing will often happen elsewhere. And then team selection and team building. Again, we see that, for example, Harley Davidson allow people to actually select their own team members. Now, I don't know whether that's the case here, but you want somebody who is a hotshot. You want somebody who will scare you in terms of how bright they are. And then high involvement. And it's this entire organization, each empowered to constantly question the status quo, constantly push forward and move forward innovations. And then just a creative climate. I think It's this idea of supporting new ideas. It is promoting, it is getting excited, it is almost having that kind of moment, even if it destroys what is the status quo in the organization, embracing those new ideas. And then just the focus. Obviously, looking at your internal customers. So, in terms of internal customers, marketing will have as an internal customer operations, because obviously, if operations don't take their needs into account, they won't build the right thing. But also, operations will have as an internal customer marketing, because marketing is the group that will get whatever you're building out on a showroom floor. And then also external customer orientation, as Tom Peters says, beyond close to the customer. So that is question one. In terms of this, it's so learning unit 2, slides 6 and 7. Anyone want to check in the textbook for me, please? Well, I have my cappuccino. I don't know if I've got to check a textbook nearby. I don't. Any luck there, guys? Anyone have the textbook nearby? Um, it's very quiet, guys. I'm getting nervous. Okay, let me see if I can find the textbook. Yeah. I don't know what the textbook is. Um, I don't know what I've done with it. Shucks, man. This is frustrating as heck. Okay, hold on a second. A little bit unprofessional. Oh gosh, imagine how the Westall students are going to complain about this dead time. Oh dear. And again, I'm speaking to you guys, you know who you are. Hold on. Oh, shivet. Oh, shivet. Oh, shivet. Oh, shivet. So, pages, let me quickly see if I can find them. Pages 61 and 62. So in the textbook, pages 61 and 62. You guys aren't very helpful. You guys are all fired for not helping me. 61 and 62. The second one is this person as innovation leader. There is a link, guys. Just see where the link is, okay? I hope I didn't mess that up. Hold on, innovation leader. So there's a couple of bits here. So you're going to look at learning unit 2. You will look at slide 10, 12, 13, 14. Um, yeah. So 10, 10, 12, 13, 14. So learning unit 2. And we can go through it very quickly. Yeah, so obvious why I've got Steve Jobs up there, and this is obviously long after he had passed, because that is Tim Cook, reminding people of where this all started, this upper echelons idea of Steve being Apple and Apple being Steve. It's this uh, overall powerful influence of a single individual. Mark Zuckerberg, obviously, in terms of Facebook. We also have Bill Gates in terms of Microsoft, and then obviously Jeff Bezos as part of Amazon, and then yeah, Elon Musk obviously has to fit into that as part of Tesla. So, in terms of innovation leadership, there's a couple of things. We spoke quite a bit about how innovation doesn't happen automatically or haphazardly, that it requires some kind of energy, some kind of drive, some kind of framework to promote it. It's not just every so often we'll have a aha moment. And then also making sure that we have teams that are diverse, but also in terms of that team, allowing people the freedom and the almost the comfort to be allowed to actually share their ideas, to share their innovations, to be creative, to push the boundaries. Again, to question the status quo. And then other bits that they'll do, leaders should do a whole range of things. Make sure that you give autonomy and pass over the freedom to take decisions. I mean, it's that idea of those self managed teams that we have spoken about before. And then also just time limits. This is not just spending every day trying to create ideas. We've got to also create products to keep the organization moving forward, and then also making sure that you have the right team leaders, in particular team leaders that can drive innovation, that has the ability to get people's creative juices flowing. I missed that one as well. And then some of the traits of a good leader, yeah, you can see there. Steve Jobs. I mean, every one that I've mentioned thus far fits all of that. It's all these individuals who will take responsibility and also will take the fall if they make a mistake. And then also very skillful. So Steve Jobs wasn't the best programmer, but he understood, what technology could do. We know that Bill Gates very skillful in his task domain. We know the same from Zuckerberg. We know the same from Bezos. We know the same from Elon Musk. And then also this idea of administrative and social competence. Now, again, some of it is not always applicable to all the leaders. I mean, and I did share this, that Bill Gates called or referred to um, Steve Jobs as an a-hole, but also referred to him as a wizard in terms of what Apple could do. And then just the energy and the communicators in terms of sharing the vision. In terms of the pages in the textbook, just hold on a second. 62 to 65, I have it as 62 to 65. You can just verify it. Is this leadership, Georgia? I've got 62 to 65. Why do I have that? Okay. Is it 62 and 63? Okay,
I
guys,
thought, yeah,
62.
I think it's probably longer for you. Yeah, mine has innovation leadership just on 62 and 3, so it probably continues, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's 62 and 3, guys. And if you need to check, maybe just also 4 and 5. Okay. If it's not, my apologies. Right. And then the next one. Sorry, no one's asking me any questions. I think, mind you, I think everyone is a little bit overwhelmed at the moment. And then the sources of innovation, yeah, in particular around batteries. So sources, this is a little bit further down here. Yeah, and my apologies that we haven't got there yet. So it is slide 52, slide 52. Um, I will go through this in detail. We haven't got there yet. Slide 52. Page, Georgia, if you can find it for us, please. Let me just see what I have. Guys, look around page 97 to 106. 97 to 106. Okay. So to look at the sources of innovation, and we will do this again. I'm not going to go into the detail that I would should I lecture it. Sorry, so it is slides 52 to, I'm also talking absolute rubbish. Slides 52 to 64. My apologies. 52 to 64. 52 to 64. 98 onward in terms of Georgia stuff. 62 to 64. I'm just going to look at this one here. We'll go through the detail. So, in terms of where innovations come from, the first one is shocks to the system. What would be the shock to the system that brought about the need for batteries to improve? And what system was in shock? I mean, it's the impact, obviously, of burning carbon fuels. So the system in shock was essentially climate change. And part of that, we would, unless we start thinking differently about powering, in this instance, vehicles, and not burning coal fires, the reality is that this is a significant push in terms of why we needed the actual innovation. Accidents, yeah, I don't think this was an accident, but in terms of accidents, we know, for example, that post-it notes were, in fact, initially the glue for it was designed to be this hyper super glue. And then this person found, Art Fry found, that it was this detachable and retachable glue. I mean, an interesting one, and I know it might fit into more than one, but Viagra, for example, was designed as a heart medicine. And the accident was that it had very little to do with the heart. It was aimed slightly south, and yeah, and it's a strange example, and my apologies for it, but we're adults here. You can also watch others, innovation from watching others. So the Chinese do that. You can see what people are doing in terms of their own businesses. Remember, benchmarking yourself against competitors. What is reverse engineering? And let me tell you, everyone reverse engineers. They won't admit to it. I can promise you, the moment a new Apple is launched, someone from Samsung will go buy one and they will break that thing down into its component parts. And that's why there's so much protection built into the software. Go for it, Neil.
Steve Jobs did that with the Walkman and the iPod, Doc.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You reverse engineer the opposition stuff. I mean, my dad worked for Toyota, and they went and bought a Hyundai. They couldn't understand how Hyundais back in the day. Now this is the 90s, maybe even 80s, could be built for the price that they were selling it. And it turned out the only real difference was that they were being built in Botswana and the workers were more productive there. But Toyota bought a Hyundai and broke it into its component parts to see what they could learn from it. I mean, there are lots of those examples. And then yeah, ideas and applications in one world transferred to another. A silly example would be Bluetooth. We have Bluetooth absolutely everywhere. Another example would be Blu-ray, which was really for gaming and then became part of, Blu-ray players, this old replacing DVDs. We have a lot of those where we use a particular technology. It's also quite interesting. I read an article recently saying that lithium, which is for depression and things like that, apparently might be able to help with dementia. Now, I know it's still medicine, but it is a very different application to what it was originally designed for. Regulation, again, guys, if you think of, in particular in Europe, where people have to live by rules in terms of emissions, again, regulation drove these kinds of innovations. Yeah, advertising, and this is where you find out what your customers want. Yeah, and then the aha moment, inspiration. What Google does, and again, whether it applies here, I don't know, is they will have something called Tech Talks, And Tech Talks will be people who will talk on anything from the origins of the universe to the latest technology and whatever. And it's not about the fact that it's not always applicable to what the Google people are doing, but it's about that inspiration. And again, remember, this is the stuff that happens in the real world. It's the dropping acid and going to a Grateful Dead concert and coming up with the idea of 3D printing body parts. Knowledge push. This is just as science improves. Remember, we've got AI, and as AI changes, that knowledge push will have a knock-on effect in a variety of industries, in a variety of areas. Design-driven innovation. I think what we see here is that often when people design and often when people put elements together, that elements start taking on a new form, and synergy essentially is the consequence of the design. Need pull, again, what necessity, the mother of innovation. We're busy killing the planet. There's a desperate need to find an alternative to petrol. And then users as innovators, customers coming up to you and say, please, can you create, please call me for me. Remember, we still have not had the please call me saga sorted out. I think the person who came up with it was offered 40 something. Anyone know? Was it 48? I don't know how much it was, but he wants billions and hundreds of billions for it. And then just also looking up in terms of scenario planning, different alternative futures. When we go through it, we will go through the slides. I'm not going to go through the slides, but essentially just linked back to this. Okay, there's nothing really here, guys. You can have a glance at this one here. Okay. Other than that, guys, I don't really have anything else. I've got nothing else planned. Oh, come on, bugger. Yeah, this is now going to be fun. And that is it. Right, just remember, integrate theory and application. I think we now have this down perfect. I think everyone knows what the expectations are in terms of these. Be careful of the use of AI because it does take us to strange places. And textbook as the basis of your discussion. I remember having to say that to a couple of people in the previous submission. Any questions, any comments? You guys are very quiet tonight. It makes me very nervous when this happens. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. Oh, it's perfect.